This video is going to take a look at how to send automated emails to students within your course. So to get to those, we go to classes. Once we go into a class, we are going to go up to the top where it says progress in the green bar and click progress. And then right at the top of that screen, right here, use agents to automate feedback. We're going to click on that, and that brings us to a whole new area. So there are some things that we can do in here that are pretty cool. We can send messages to students for specific reasons. So for instance, if they need to take a quiz, if they need to retry it to improve their grade, like retake a quiz, take advantage of additional attempts, we can automatically email those students, and it will link to our gradebook, and we can set the criteria that we want, and it will say, okay, everyone that has this grade or below, let's send them an email, and it will send them out an email with whatever you would like it to say. You can enable and disable these at any time and delete them, of course. To set a new one, we start with the new button. We are going to go ahead and pretend that we gave this Unit 2 test. It was due yesterday, and looked in our gradebook this morning and noticed that there were not a lot of grades filled in. So many students haven't taken this test that was due yesterday. So I put in whatever the name of it is. I want to make sure that the agent is enabled. I want to make sure that all users in the class list receive this email. Now, just as a side note, we are going to pretend that we're sending it for a test that wasn't taken by everybody. However, you can also send this just for students who have not logged into your course in a certain number of days or haven't done anything in the course. So login activity, they didn't log into the course. And when they have not done anything inside of the course, they haven't completed anything in the course, you could send this as well. So most of the time, I would say you would default to this one, because if they just logged in and didn't actually click through anything, you would want to send this one anyway. And if they haven't logged in at all, you would still want them to log in and take action in the course. So this is the one that I would send if you're interested in sending that. You would just check this box, fill in the number of days that you would want to send an email about. So if they hadn't accessed it in the last 3 days or in the last 10 days or something like that, that's what you would fill in here. So you can send it for things like that as well. I tend to use it a lot for our tests and quizzes, reminders about grades towards the end of the semester or the end of the year. You can send out automatic grade emails to anyone who has below a certain percent. These release conditions right here are very important. So we are going to create these release conditions. So you can have some conditions set. So for example, maybe you want to base it on group enrollment, and I'm going to send this to my gen ed. So one thing I might want to do is label this like this so that I know this is the Unit 2 test for my gen ed group that I'm sending this alert for. And this right here, all conditions must be met. So we're going to go ahead and attach another one. Now this time I am going to say something about grades. So they haven't received a grade on this test. So then I'm going to select the test that I'm talking about. So it was the Unit 2 test. So let's see, Unit 2 Part 1. The alternate was the special ed version, the modified version. So I picked the normal one. Create. Now, this right here has been tricky. In the past, we have had some issues with selecting this button right here. So if you want to take an action every time the agent is evaluated and send an email, the problem that we ran into was that students who were on the list once, like say they didn't take it, if you run this again a week from now, they're still on the list from a week ago, but they may have taken it since then, and they were still getting emails. So what K-12 said is they said, make sure you select this, and if you want to run it again, you just make a copy. I'll show you how to do that. So take action only the first time that criteria are satisfied for a user. Again, our criteria is here. All conditions must be met. They have to be a member of the Gen Ed group, and they have to have not received a grade for the grade item. Now, there's always this choice of any condition. We don't want to do that, because if we put any condition, then it's going to send them an email just because they're a member of that Gen Ed Group 1. We don't want that. We want them to be a member of Group 1 and have not received a grade for that Unit 2 test. All right, so we want to send them an email. Yes, so we're going to click that. Now, when we go down here, we can put some special things in so that we can personalize these emails. So when we go down here, what special email addresses can I use? We'll get this pop-up box, and it gives us what we can just cut and paste. So this is what I'm going to use right here. I want the initiating user. It's the person who performs those actions, basically the student's account, email address. Now the other one was initiating user auditors, and those are auditors of the user. So we wouldn't really need to use that one. We're just focusing on the initiating user. So once we get that in here, we can put that in. This will send the student an email. Then we're going to go down to subject. We can use replacement strings in the subject and message, and this is the pop-up box here. This gives us some little hints of what we can include. So we can have the name put in, a code put in, the start date, all kinds of stuff, the first name of the initiating user, the last name, the username, blah, 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 blah. What I really want here is I want to personalize this. I want them to open this email and see, like, hi, Jaden, I noticed you haven't taken the Unit 2 test yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the word hi, copy that, or paste what I copied, and then I'm going to start my email like that. You can use those replacement strings in the subject as well. If you'd like to personalize it so that they'll see their name in the subject as well. Or you can just put, don't forget Unit 2 test, or something like that. Now I'm going to write my email. So what do I want them to see when they get this email? So it's going to say, hi, Nadia, or whatever their first name is. I noticed you haven't taken the Unit 2 test yet for science. And you can write whatever you want. Sometimes I go up here and I insert a picture, and I have one from my computer that has a picture of like maybe an elephant with a string around its finger, or a baby that is like doing a face palm, like, duh, I forgot to take that test, something like that. You can absolutely add things like that in, like, or like a baby or a picture of someone saying, uh-oh, you know, with a little speech bubble, something like that. I noticed you haven't taken the Unit 2 test yet for science, blah, 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 blah. You know what to put in. Then I am going to go ahead and I am going to give them a direct link. The other thing that I would do is I would also up here have, if you need a review, you know, click here, and then that could be a link either to a recording, that could be a link to a study guide, that could be a link to something in your content, all that kind of stuff. All of these things in here are able to have direct links. So anytime you want to add a link, you can go to your link. This is the quick link for courses. You can link to something in Google Drive, something in OneDrive, something in their plan. You can link to a URL. You can also link to a play pause it. So maybe you had a play pause it review that they could do, then you would link to that. If you had a review game, say in Nearpod, or an assignment, a review assignment in GimKit, you could link to that as well. So anything like that would work. You can link to any course files all of that good stuff. So in this case, when I'm putting in the actual quiz link or test, in this case, Unit 2 test link, I am going to go to my content. I'm going to go to Unit 2. I'm going to go all the way down to Unit Test 215 and the assessment. It's going to pull up. It's going to give me that choice of the special ed modified version or alternate version, Part 2, Part 1, and then if I had a modified version of Part 1 in here for special education students, it would show that in there as well. So as you create them in your course, they will show up here. So I'm going to select Part 1. And then when students get this email, they can directly click on this link and log in and go right to that test to take it. Just makes it easy and fast for students to actually take it. Then I'm going to write the rest of my email. Thanks. See you in class, blah, blah, blah. Then I'm going to go down here. If there are any attachments I need to upload, like a study guide or something like that, I can go ahead and do that here. And I am not going to use a schedule. Again, this goes back to the same thing as up here. If we use a schedule, we could set it to send every Friday. Like every Friday morning at 8, I want you to email everyone who hasn't logged into my course in 3 days. You could do that. The problem that we ran into with that is that, again, the students that hadn't logged in the first time in 3 days were still getting an email again. So K-12 told us to not set it to a schedule, but instead to go ahead and copy it and send it again. Now, we could check and see if they fixed that so that you could run it like that, but it's just as easy to be intentional about when you want it to run. Once you've made all your changes, you go to Save and Close. Now, this is the Unit 2 test. Remember, this is just the name for you. Students won't see that name. What students will see is the subject line that you put in there and then whatever you put in the info of the body of the email. To send that right now, I can go to Run Now. I can also delete from here. I can send a practice run so that I can make sure I know what it's going to look like. I can view history and export history. So I can go back after I've run this and I can see who it was sent to. And I can also export who it was sent to. This is where we would copy it, and this is where if we wanted to make any changes, we could do that. So if I were going to send this, so let's say I clicked Run Now, I send this to everyone who hasn't done it. Then a week from now, I come in and I want to send it again. Then I would just make a copy. It shows up as copy of. I can click on it to edit it. I can leave it as copy, or I could put a little 2 here after it to show that's the second time I ran it. I enable the agent. All the rest of the stuff is already done. I don't have to fix anything else. Save and close. The only thing is if I had put in the body of this email, I noticed you didn't take the you hadn't taken the Unit 2 test yet for science. That was due yesterday. So if I'm sending it a week later, obviously I would want to take out that part. So think about that when you're writing the email. If you're planning to be able to write it once and send it without having to edit it each time, you probably want to be sort of generic with your words so that it's something that can be sent again. So maybe you used the phrase, which is past due, rather than was due yesterday, just so that way a week from now it will still apply. So once I do those 2 things, change the name a little bit, put a 2 after it or leave it as copy, make sure you click Agent is enabled, save and close. Now, here's my copy. And now I would go and run now the following week if I were checking that. Now you can also see when you come in here that once something has been run, you can click on here to see exactly who it was sent to. And it shows you right here when you sent it. So lots of good things. Remember, as you are doing these, you can copy this one again or copy this one again, and then you don't have to do all of those things over. So say now I want to do it that was for the 1.08 quiz, but here's my copy. Say I want to make this for the 312 quiz. I enable it. I'm going to change right here. I would X this out. I'm going to create and attach. I'm going to decide which group I want it to go to. And I'm also going to, you can do either one first, but let me do this one first. Group enrollment, say I want to send this to my special education group. And then I'm going to create and attach another condition, and it's going to be a grade value on a grade item this time. So I'm going to go and I'm going to find my, I think I said 312. I don't even know if that exists. It does. But let's pretend this is the modified version. So I'm going to select that. The criteria here, less than or equal to. You can change it to less than, you can change it to greater than, or greater than. So you don't have to just use this to send emails for students who are missing a grade or need to retake a test. You could also send something, if their grade is greater than a certain thing, you could send it and be like, great job. So there's lots of different ways that you can use it. So a lot of times when I'm sending it, I would send something like this, less than or equal to, and then it's up to you what you put. You could put a 50, you could put a 60. The way the science quizzes are structured, you couldn't actually get a 60, so I would put 50 or below, but you could put a 60, you could put a 70, doesn't matter. Whatever you want to put, and then create. Then this is going to send to members who are in my special ed group 2, who got a 60 or lower on this quiz. The rest of the stuff I'm going to leave the same, except for I would go in and I would say, okay, this is now my 312, not 323, 312. And then I would go through and I would change this. Here's a video. You could include a video of the recording. You could include the hyperlink. Like a lot of times we put in the hyperlink like we did last time. But most of the body of your email is going to be similar. So you won't have to redo the whole thing. You can just sort of add to it. When you're done, save and close. And then you would go ahead and go to it and run now. And that would have it sent to students. Once it is sent to students, you will receive an email in your inbox, just one, not as many students as you have, just one email that says the agent has been run. And then you'll know it went out to students. All right, so that's how we use these, sometimes called intelligence agents or automated emails, to send students reminders, to send great jobs to students who scored a certain grade or higher, or to send emails to students who have not logged into the course, or things like that. Let me know if you have any questions or you would like some more information on these.